Hey guys, this is Jamie. So today I want to talk about self-esteem and in general how different companies try to push us down. And I know this topic is kind of beaten up, pushed through and through, but I still feel like the fact that people take advantage of the fact that obviously we're trans, we have very often self-esteem issues. We feel like we're not masked enough, speaking from obviously the trans man community. And this is obviously my point of view because these are my experiences, so I mostly speak from a trans man perspective. But basically, so we do get sort of, and in general, I've been noticing there's been much more talk about facial masculinization surgery, and I feel like it's mostly aimed at guys who either are going to start T, have started T, and etc. And one of the cases which I guess kind of sticks out to me is, for instance, when trans guys go get top surgery and then they start T. And I'm not saying there's a right way or a wrong way. Well, yeah, when I was starting T, I was told that you need to go and see, then you do top surgery. But regardless of which way you do it, because there's a billion different ways. You can have a certain walk of life. You can decide to have top surgery first. Maybe it's easier to get top surgery first and then start hormones. Maybe, there's everything in life actually which can influence this. But, like, there are trans men which like do top surgery, then start hormones, and then they feel like, well, I don't look masculine enough, and then they decide to go for facial masculinization surgery. And there's also obviously there's facial feminization surgery for trans women, trans feminine people, and this is also like trans masculine people also might go for masculinization surgery. But I still feel like no one really understands how painful it is to wait, specifically in the trans context. And if we're talking about the waiting times, obviously, if you look at Nordic countries like Sweden, Finland, I'm just saying these two because I have friends and obviously I've seen it from their experiences. Like the waiting times is years at this point. So obviously you start to think, what can I do? How can I make myself more comfortable in the body until I can use teeth actually, until I am on teeth actually. And I understand that once you reach it, you kind of want, oh, well, I don't know, I was kind of quite pleased when I got teeth, as far as I remember, obviously. But I felt that I was happy with the changes. Obviously, the changes were gradual, but my voice deepened nearly right away. I had bottom growth nearly right away. I had a lot of things nearly right away. So, in a sense, I was very lucky with my tea journey. But obviously, that is not always the case for people. Like, I knew this guy who he wouldn't get any facial hair, and I think he was something like a few years into even. But yeah, so basically, obviously, everyone's tea journey is different. Like, for instance, in my case, it took me a while to stop bleeding. So I had periods for quite a long while, and they were even thinking if I should get my tea increased because they just weren't stopping. And in general, I had a lot and a lot of uh, very bad stuff related to those things. And only like after surgery I could literally just like breathe out and say, yeah, everything's fine now. So obviously sometimes you need an extra intervention, like whether it is to raise the dose, whether it is time to wait. And but I still feel like no one really talks about it. Like, if you're just a weekend, so you can't just expect to be looking like Giga Chad or something. And I know that everyone has the rights to discuss, and specifically like in different like FtM boards or transmen boards, forums, discords, I don't know, Twitters, pigeon mail for all I care. But I still feel like we should really address the fact that when people post certain things that make absolute no sense, or I'm wording it way too harshly, but if you're 1 month on tape and you think you need facial masculinization surgery, why can't you just wait for the tea to kick in? Why do you have to go on the boards and say stuff like, I want to get this, and in reality, maybe you'll look even better without the surgery if you just wait for your T results. So I do feel like I understand how frustrating it is to wait. I had to wait many years for me to go and see. I had to wait many years for top surgery. I had to wait many years for my histo. I had to wait many things for a really long while. Or like, for instance, my name change still hasn't gone through. So I feel like I'll end up having fallow before my name change comes through. So I do understand the frustration, but when it comes to certain medical things, I still feel like we need to understand that we need to give it a certain parameter of time. So if doctors are saying your facial structure will change, I don't know, 5 years, I can't remember right now. Why are you going on the boards and saying that I need facial masculinization surgery? Because then that triggers another domino effect, just like plastic surgery does. Which is like, huh. But why is that guy getting it? Like, what if something's wrong with my nose? What if my nose is not masculine enough? Or like, what if my brows are not masculine enough? And obviously, when you start talking to plastic surgeons and etc., it can be quite a sort of sucking in process where they're gonna be like, well, do you want better brows? Do you want a better nose? Do you want a better chin? Do you want a better jaw? Do you want a better this? And I understand that it's everyone's decision, but I feel like in our community, where we already suffer from a massive lack of self-esteem, that we shouldn't be feeding into these insecurities. Like, I don't know, and also, obviously, I'm a part of the gay community because my fucking face says that, but I mean, you don't have to have a six-pack all the time either to get laid. Or like some people think that because their hips are wider at the start of T, they won't be seen as a guy. And it's like, there are dudes with wider hips. Just because you have wide hips, that doesn't mean that you won't pass. Or, I don't know, if your shoe size is something is smaller than expected. Like, I sometimes get insecure about my shoe size, and I remember, okay, fine, I'm a 40, which is the one of the smallest male shoe sizes. But okay, there are guys who literally have smaller feet. There are guys who have bigger feet. Or like there's a surgery to make it taller. Like, sure, obviously most of us have felt insecurity about our height, and I still feel like I'm just not that tall. But at the same time, there are certain things that you need to like stop and reflect, like, how does this actually affect me? Because there are things obviously which you need to change for yourself, and there are other things which you need to look around and touch grass. So like when I think about my height, I'm like, well, I can't change anything, but I pass. Well, yeah, you can also say, yeah, but you're in Portugal. The men are either super tall or super short, and I obviously fall into the closer to the short category. But it's not a big deal. it's really not a big deal. Like, and then another argument which I would say against myself is, well, once you start T and if everything is going slow and you're sad that it's not going, to places where you want it to go, of course you want to facilitate, you want to speed up the process. What are you supposed to do? And I feel like that question is more towards the fact that we have enormously long waiting times and enormously long sort of bureaucratic, fucking inhumane decisions which keep us from tea. So I really wanted to say that I am talking about this from a place of a vacuum. Please understand that I'm speaking about this with being 4 years in tea, having top histo, on the way to follow, and I was very lucky with my tea journey. But at the same time, I wasn't so lucky with like my place of birth. Like, I still cannot change for the life of me, no matter how much I fucking do anything for years, my name and my gender, for instance. So there are obviously certain things like where a person is more lucky, a person is less lucky. Like, I would complain that I'm fucking annoyed that my ID is not changed, and that really troubles me a lot. And someone else might complain, well, top surgery is really far away from me. Or someone might say, I can't bind, I need top surgery now. Or, for instance, I really need a histo because I had enormous pains. So, for instance, I got histo before my top surgery. And you just have a lot of things which factor in. And I understand that maybe I'm speaking from a privileged position, but I still wish we had a more sincere discussion in our community about how to make us feel better, rather than to say, hey, I think I'm not mask enough, I'm gonna get an eyebrow transplant. It's like, or there was this topic many years ago on FtM, which pretty much is the toxicity at this point of Reddit, where a guy was trimming his eyelashes, and I was like, I don't know, like, I understand that dysphoria comes in many ways, and specifically when you're waiting, you really go batshit. And I have like tremendous, horrible bottom dysphoria at this point, because it's getting closer and I just want to finish my physical transition. But at the same time, we gotta remember where we are, what's happening, what's going on. And if there is like a bureaucratic reason why we're not on T yet, we need to understand that we need to... It's fine that we're not sane because it's very hard to get C. But at the same time, we must understand when we're doing too much. So, for instance, cutting your eyelashes is too much. Binding with packing tape, not packing tape, like duct tape is too much, for instance. And there are certain things which we need to do in order to stay safe and to stay alive as well. So I just really wish our community was more of a welcoming place. There's also a lot of sort of emphasis on body and how to make us look better. There's obviously a bunch of discussions right now about weight. There's a lack of male body positivity. Everyone just, and specifically, I think this is really getting worse when it comes to, from what I see, for straight men, because a lot of women want like taller, I don't know, six-packer or whatever. While in the gay men community, like, you still have the bears for bears or whatever. So I do feel like in general the communities are like, it's not good to be a person right now, if we're just talking about beauty standards and we're not even talking about certain aspects of the world, such as a war. But yeah, I just really wanted to touch on that, so I really wish we'd have a more positive conversation, or like how to help us wait, like during tea, during waiting for tea, during waiting for follow, for certain things. Like, I'm struggling with losing weight. I really am. And I just wish there was, for instance, more resources on how to lose weight, how to wait for it. And yeah, I think there just should be just more resources for everything. But there aren't. So yeah, and again, speaking about our community, I just really wish people would support each other instead of saying like, I'm gonna do unnecessary plastic surgery for God knows what reason, you know? If you are one of the people who want to do it for your own good and you feel that it will make you feel better objectively, please go ahead. I might not know the full context. Maybe you've been on T for 30 years and your brows really have annoyed you since birth. How do I know? So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a like. Please leave a comment if you have any opinions. And please share the video because it really helps my channel grow. And I really look at that YouTube monetization and just get horny.